You've watched YouTube gurus, bought signal groups. Still confused? Vici isn't noise, it's clarity. Live setups, real results. 5-star rated community. Trade with clarity. Trade with Vici.
Hey everybody, how we doing? Happy Monday. Hope everybody enjoyed the weekend. I know I did. I had a good one. I actually put out a lot of content too. Hopefully you guys got a chance to check out the Bitcoin post that I did. And also I released a pretty awesome podcast that I have with my hypnotherapist. It was fantastic. It is an hour long, but if you get a chance, check it out. It's great stuff. It's all about psychology, and it kind of defunks some of the, mysticism behind hypnotherapy, which has been huge for me in my trading. The guy that I see, Nathan, is a hypnotherapist, and he specializes in trading, and he's a trader himself. So he's kind of got a nice little background there, which helps. So super happy about all that. And definitely think you should check it out if you get the opportunity. And let's see here. I'm just going to try to pull up the comment section for, what is that? For Substack, but I lost it. Let me see if I can find it just so I can, I don't know where it's at. Oh, well, 'tis life, right? 'Tis life. So let's get right into it. First, as usual, if you're not following me, definitely check me out. Ryan Bailey Edge across all socials. That includes YouTube, Twitter, Substack, and now TradingView. So changed my account up over there. Got a new account with the holiday special. They're doing 80% off or 70% off. And so going to get that going. Going to get all the indicators over there and get you guys hooked up. So make sure you follow. It'll be definitely worth it. It's going to be good. So I think that'll help everybody out just to kind of stay in tune and stay on track. So let's see here. So now let's talk about the day, because the day was crazy, right? I mean, I'm sorry, but we called over the weekend review. We talked about more than likely going up. We talked about how Bitcoin was up, on Sunday, and it was more than likely going to lead to a gap up, and it did. And, things continue to keep playing out exactly as our trade plan said. But God, today was hard to get on. I mean, we did like 112 points or something. Let me look. I don't even know what it was. It was over 100. It was a straight line up, and it was not easy to get on, but everything worked out like we thought, and we came right to our spot. So let's go ahead and just talk about the current market context. This was from Sunday. Go ahead and add this up here. So here you go. The question is Is that the low? Well, we don't really know, right? But our thought process was maybe. So they did the liquidity sweep and they squeezed to go back up on Friday, right? So there was a textbook elevator down, stairs up maneuver that I did a great post on. If you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. It's so worth it. It's really interesting to understand the mathematics behind why this works like that. And a lot of it really comes down to options, to be quite honest with you, just how it works. And some of the statistics were really cool. Like, for instance, like I didn't know that it typically, takes 28 days for the market to move down 10%. But it takes 90 plus days for it to move back up the other, to regain what it lost. So almost 3 times as long. So a true elevator down, stairs up scenario. So again, like we were talking about Bitcoin, I'm always looking at that. That's our lead, especially on Sunday. Are you kidding me? The markets are closed. We got to look and see what Bitcoin's doing. If Bitcoin's up, more than likely the market's going to up. And it did. It actually gapped open 40 points on Sunday, which was pretty awesome. So everything was kind of starting off really nice with our plan just right out the gate. So that was cool. So let me see what else we got here. I got a bunch of stuff that I made up here. So let's see. Where's the next thing that I want to get into? Well, let's talk about the AM plan. I got a couple things, right? So this was what I put out for the guys in the room and girls. Let me rephrase that. For those of you who are in the room, you guys know what's up. And for those of you who don't, on Mondays, because I don't do a Substack publication, on Monday we do it Tuesday through Friday. I do a little outlook for everybody in the room, which is essentially just, kind of guiding them through after Sunday. I'm actually looking for something here. Here you go. There I am. It's my bald ass. So kind of give everybody a little video on what's happening, talking about the inefficiencies and our targets that we spoke about before. And then, of course, this is our, as usual, I provide the guide here. So wanted to show you what that looks like on a Sunday. So this was the context that was taken out of our trade plan from Sunday. So the trade plan was to look for the singles repair down here, which didn't happen. Okay, fine, no problem. But and then pull back into this area and then ride the stairs up, ride the stairs up to 92, potentially 67.38, and watch the VIX at 20.78 like a hawk, which we're going to get into. Okay, that'll be the deciding factor for the next leg, which absolutely true. So this was our daily this morning at 64 that we needed to pop over. If you guys recall, we had 660, 6660. 66, 64. Well, after a little refinement, 64s was the level that I decided to stick with. And they basically broke out above this right from the jump. We immediately got up to 92, which was no big deal. And then obviously, as you know, 29, I think, was the high of the day, which made perfect sense, which is where we were trying to get to. So that worked out great this morning for everybody. It would have been nice to have a pullback. I got to tell you, it made it very difficult today to get on this move just the way they did it. This is my 1 hour chart over here. And I know it's going to be kind of crazy with all the lines, but this was our day. It was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green candles before they decided they were going to go sideways. Made it a difficult day to try to get on this. So one of the things I did want to show you guys was this was from the plan. If you guys recall, on Sunday, I always use the weekly TPO. It's the very first thing I go over. Okay, very first thing. There's a reason for this. This is the best way to figure out value and what's going to happen. Okay, so we knew we had an inefficiency higher up in the 67.40s and 67.60s. This whole area needs to be filled in. Well, we almost made it to 40 today and 67.60 here. But you're like, Ryan, what does that mean? Well, for those of you guys who didn't watch the video, I basically drew the damn thing for everybody. And I said, look, if they pop this value area high, which was at 66.90, we're just going to come up here and we're going to fill all this in between, up into the 60s area. So that's where I was coming up with this logic. Look at this. We could come all the way up into the 40s or even the 60 spot. Okay. So it's not magic. This is stuff that we can tell way in advance. If as long as we were to stay above the 66.05, we were on our way up here, which we made great progress today. Just absolutely unbelievable push. Kind of took me a little off guard, I'll be frank. And but we're still cruising. We're still filling this in. So we've got more progress to make for the upside, and so we'll continue to march on our way up. So let's see what else we have here. So talking about, do we want to talk about VIX yet? Let's see. We talked about the AM plan. We talked about our pre-market lines. And we've talked about, oh, here we go. So this was our profile. So I showed you the picture this morning, and this was also we talked about this in the weekend review. We had this massive singles here that was the inefficiency from the market that needed cleaned up on the 20th. And then we had this spot down here, which I was hoping we would clean up and then pop, but we didn't. So anyways, we were starting to cruise up here, and I'm telling everybody, hey, this is a magnet, right? And I got my little Wile E. Coyote guy there, right? And then obviously you can see down here, I'm like, man, this is a fluke and squeeze. We saw this repair coming, but they certainly didn't make it easy to get on. So, at this point, we're up so high that we started to get into our major resistance areas that I had pointed out to you guys in the first place. So, me being me, even though I hate to short this market, absolutely hate it. I think it's much easier just to get long, and the days that we elevate or down, just walk away. It's so much easier. But here's my first short, and I'll tell you why. We had the 6606 area right here. This was the daily, weekly spot that also we had the singles filled. I was looking for this area to get a reaction, and they didn't. But what I was really using it in context with was SPX. So as everybody in the room knows, I was short, and I told them, I said, I don't know if this is going to work out. I'm really playing SPX. Well, the SPX daily held perfectly. Held to the tick. We pulled back. I actually did not get my target down here. I paid about 15 points, took some money, broke even on the rest, and kind of left it at that, which was a little disappointment. But the main reason for that is I was really eyeing this 2078 level on VIX. And, I made it very apparent this morning in the trade plan, and very apparent I think on Friday we talked about it, but more importantly, on the weekend review, I pointed this level out specifically for everybody. And here it was the trade plan on on Sunday. And then this is actually what happened. So I would normally really not interested in shorting this market, but this was a huge, huge level for me on VIX. I expected a much larger reaction here than what we got, which it didn't, which is fine, whatever. But, anyways, the way I looked at it, VIX was the kicker. Okay. So, for me, like I said, this makes all the difference in the world. And my main pivot was the 2078 daily, weekly leg up right here. Okay. So the implications for this was that we will probably, we will probably continue to move up, which we did, right? We move up until VIX reaches 2078. Well, that was essentially based on my last picture. As you see, I was short SPX while I was short ES because of SPX hitting the daily, and also because we were getting the confluence down here on VIX towards that level. However, as you can see, VIX, came through this level and actually closed below it on the daily, which leads me to believe that we will continue to get more down on the VIX come the rest of the week. Now, gobble gobble, maybe it's a turkey rally into the year rally. Who knows? All I do know is that this isn't looking good for VIX. And the ES has a hell of a tailwind behind it, especially if we continue to move below this in our 1913 weekly on VIX. Now, we've talked about how the 1860s untested down here, they could pull the sweep and pop just like they did here. But for now, and we'll see where we're at in the morning, but for now, I think we got more down on VIX, which means we have more potential upside on ES. So kind of a big deal. So at this point, I was done taking longs. And the reason that I was done taking longs, and I could have swore, and I shouldn't have been, and I could have swore that I had this here, but I guess I don't. I will just show you guys. Let me see. Yeah, this is why. Okay, so here you go. So this was me in the juicy resistance, right? So here's my second short. I was really looking to short this 23 spot. We had a 4-hour up at 29. Okay, we have it in the trade plan right here. And this actually played as Thursday support. This popped nice and took us up high. So this was a great spot for the support side. And so I thought, well, hell, why not? Let's short this thing, right? And so we get really close to the weekly up here in SPX. So you look at that, right? And then I was short 23 because that was the daily, and I had my stops up about 31. And so I had like, I don't know, what is that? I don't know, 9 points or something like that stop on this. We played this for whatever reason. This picture didn't capture that. And then, down here, you could see the kind of follow through that was coming through. But again, it still didn't hit my lower target. I thought we were going to come into the 0675. I was actually looking to buy that spot. I told everybody my target was 08. Again, this trade only paid about 10 or 12 points, maybe 15 at the most. I can't recall now, but it just wasn't juicy. We didn't get any downside follow through. And, this was my big major area. So we still have a little bit higher. We still have 38, which is the sub leg to the all-time high, which we'll get into here in a little bit. But, I'm not so certain now. So we'll see. I don't want to count that level out, but, it's something we certainly have to keep in mind. So what is this? This was the wrong day. The wrong day. Okay. So that's what we got for the ES. That was how I played the trade plan. Essentially I was long over 64. And then, I was watching this 92 area. We broke about a 06, and then I just started shorting in here, which clearly didn't work. Right. And so, it worked, but it didn't pay good. And, for me, it was this spot right here that I was really looking. I'm like, somewhere in here, we're going to get smacked. And I truly believe that. It just didn't happen. So, sometimes it doesn't work out. I was watching VIX like a hawk, just like I told everybody to do. And when it starts to fail that level, that big major weekly, I was pretty much done with it. So, right now I'm looking at this VIX here, and I'll just show you guys what I'm talking about. Unless for whatever reason it gaps higher tomorrow, which at that point, I'm not even sure I really care anymore. It was a big close down here. This leads me to believe that we will make a new low on this wick, which means that we will continue to see more upside for the ES. So we'll wait and see what happens tomorrow. But, this was a pretty ugly finish for the day on VIX. So definitely some potential more upside there. Okay. Let me see. What do we got for SPX? Anything? So I'll pull it over. Why not? Let's take a look at it. We got some time. What time is it? It's only 8. We're only in this session about 18 minutes so far. So let me go over to the 4-hour. Let me get the 4-hour here. So this morning, we actually had a killer smack off of this 4-hour here. I'll show you guys on a smaller time frame. Even down to 5 minutes so you can see the action. And I was really hoping this smack here that we had this morning was going to bring us down a little bit farther, but it didn't. Actually, we never even revisited the opening range today. So we're right in here to all this weekly resistance here. Let's just go ahead and take a look at the weekly chart. So we talked about this on both ES and SPX, and I made it very clear. I said, listen, they never lost on the weekly. We made a new low, but they never lost. And making a new low on this leg could have honestly just created another new leg up if they continue to push higher, which is exactly what it's looking like we're doing so far. So with that being said, what's going to happen? Well, this area is going to be very important for us coming into tomorrow. This is big weekly resistance. This is obviously our leg tip down. And for me, this is not even really truly like a great level. Just because of the way my process works. But I certainly won't ignore this as this weekly is extremely close. But I think it's very obvious to everyone above 67, 37, 38, we're just going to continue to go much higher. And we've got nothing else that's untested. This thing could really just squeeze hard for the end of the year. And this was just a phenomenal sweep down here. And we've created this area now that's untested again. So they could actually come down here and test this area and go right back up. They're really starting to create a lot of support once again on the way up, especially this abrupt move. But I want to make sure that everybody understands one thing. Just because we're squeezing up super hard like this is the same situation, or could be the same situation we had last week. We're moving up astronomically fast, but we haven't gained anything truly. We haven't gained support yet. So we really need to close the daily above this area in order for us to feel really good and cozy. And I know that you're probably like, well, yeah, no shit. It's like 200 points. Well, listen, I can't help it. It's just how it works, right? So it is what it is. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some ES here. I'm going to go ahead and just bring my 4-hour down because that's my boo thing. Here, hang on. And by the way, if anybody's on Substack, I can't see your comments. For whatever reason, I closed that window and now I can't seem to get it back up. So I do sincerely apologize. I know that I intend to get a lot of comments on there, and I just cannot see it right now. So unfortunately, the only comments that I'm going to get are going to come from YouTube or Twitter right this very second. I think YouTube, actually. So what's up, Piper? It's good to see you. So here's my 4 hour, guys. And again, like you can see right here, this was our big 64 level that we pushed above. We now have left this area, and it is extremely untested. If we were to come back down here, we got 64, 61, and 56. We also have the weekly point of control in line with all this stuff. Where's my pen at? Give me my pen. Let's do a little bit of drawing. Let's see if it works on this. Of course it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. Have you guys ever had a session with me where the pen actually works when it's supposed to? I don't think so. It's so crazy. This thing works perfect all day until I turn the stream on. And then, of course, it wants to shit the bed. Here, hang on one second here. So I'm going to go ahead and hide some of these other drawings. So just from a 4 hour perspective, guys, fantastic support, right? All up in here. And then 92, 92 was a big spot for us on, when we were over here. And obviously it was a big place for us to get above when we came this way. It was a nice midpoint pivot. We also have this 86 spot here, but I am looking at potential support around 92 as well. We've got the weekly VWAP there. I think there's something else there. Let me turn this on. Oh yeah, it is the previous weekly value area high, and I have an ETH daily there that was been super important. 8650 has played multiple times. It played a lot last week. We had a guy in the room actually take it this morning for a short. I'll go ahead and show you what I'm talking about here. I'll show you why I like it. So we got a 1 hour here, a 4 hour here, the previous weekly value area high. We've got this ETH daily. This was the smack this morning. Took us all the way down, swept the low, played this 4 hour here, reclaimed the open, and we just kind of went from there. Once they got back above the previous day's high, it went. But we have this thick area of support here that I actually like. And we have singles now on the profile that lead us right down there, which, as you guys know, I'm a firm believer and cleaning this stuff up, and it provides a reaction, and it just so it lines up right with our spot. So I have a reason to believe that this area can get some love here. So just wanted to show you why I liked that spot. Now, if they really wanted to be aggressive, we could do the 06 number again. But again, we still have this big time daily here at 38, which is our sub leg to the all-time high. We've talked about this multiple times. This is a giant level. Okay, so this is going to be a big level for us to be above or below tomorrow. If we open above it, then there's really nothing to stop it except for this 4 hour at 67. But right now we have essentially, staying above 05 was clearly very, very bullish, right? And now we've popped our daily at 64. Now we're above our 86 pivot and our weekly at 06. I mean, we're just walking up here, right? So now we've got this 23, which was our support that took us to the high, and now we've got 38. So they're just walking this up, guys, and they're starting to fill this profile in that I showed you, which is all the way up into the 60s, okay? Obviously, the 50-day moving average is getting up here. We got this 4 hour on test of 67. So we'll see what happens, but in my opinion, this is a buy again. I mean, the problem was I was all gung-ho to buy until we got right in here. Now I'm like a little indifferent. But the VIX close, having that really soft daily close, gave me a little bit more incentive to continue looking for longs. So kind of tells you where I'm at with things. And then obviously we need to watch the 68.05 daily. They actually missed it over here. I still think this could get potential love, but again, that by then we've already cleared the high. So there you go. So that's what I got for ES. That's what we need to look for above or below. Now things could change tomorrow when we come into the day with the trade plan. And so we will cover that in the morning and have a better look of exactly what's cooking. So now let's talk about Big Diddy, right? I talk about Bitcoin all the time. It's in every fucking plan. It's everywhere. So, I'm a big believer in this product and I like it. I think it's a great asset. So, and for us, it's the lead. So that's why we're talking about it, right? So we talked about it in the weekend review. I talked about it this morning. We have held this $82,500 leg. And really it was this weekly shoulder down here at 81,000, it's 80,750-ish, 730-ish. And, we're moving up. And I said on Sunday when I did the what do you want to call it? When I did the outlook for this, if you haven't watched it, definitely check it out. They closed the weekly above our support to the low. And so that immediately told me, okay, we're looking pretty good here. This thing's going to hold, which is why I had a firm belief when I did the video on Sunday that we were going to pop up, and we did, right? And so now I am looking, essentially, this is my upside target. I think this can happen, which of course means more upside for the indices, right? Because if Bitcoin's weak, then more than likely the ES would be weak. But right now, Bitcoin is holding. We will more than likely sit down in here and percolate for a while before we get here. We came down so fast. This is 4 weeks worth of downside. It will take some time to offset this momentum. Okay, I said this in the outlook, and that is just how it is, guys. It just takes some time. Okay, so we need to fiddle back and forth here, but ultimately this is going to be the end goal, and then we'll see what happens. And I'm talking about this for two reasons. One, because I use it in context with the ES and the S&P, right? I mean, that's the number one reason. Two, it's because I love Bitcoin, and everybody I know loves Bitcoin, and we trade it. We talk about it. You know, I'm a big Bitcoin magazine, and a lot of people I trade with love it too. So, you know, we swing this product. This is not a daily trading product. We get in this for weeks or months, and, you know, that's how we make our money on the crypto side. So we talked about this area, which I think is irrelevant right now, but, you know, right now we're holding, and I think it looks like a phenomenal spot for us to get up in here to the $100,000 range. So if this holds, we could actually go all the way up and make new highs, but we do have a significant amount of resistance, and this monthly, weekly right here is big, and 100,000 is a big psychological number as well. So on the other end of the spectrum, for my ETH maxis, I know there's some ETH bulls in here. I've got a couple of them in the room. Just for you guys, I bought some ETH as well on Sunday. Maybe it was Saturday. I bought $2,700. We played this weekly. I was hoping we were going to come in the 25 spot, but here we go. We're holding, and this is looking good so far. Now, we are right into this monthly resistance right here, and we'll see what happens, but this is a great spot to buy some ETH. I would love for this to come a little bit lower, and if it does, I'll buy some more. But as you can see, this weekly played to the tick. Phenomenal. This was a massive accumulation zone before it launched. Let's see, May, June, July, 3 months we sat here sideways. So I anticipated this whole area on both Bitcoin and ETH to get a little love, and it is. So I just wanted to show you guys that. And, you know, this is stuff that we use in correlation. And honestly, I use ETH in correlation with Bitcoin. I know this is a much more volatile asset compared to Bitcoin, which is already crazy, but I use the two. It's almost like looking at the Mag 7 and figuring out what the ES or what the S&P is going to do. It's very similar. I have a couple different, you know, coins I use in combination, ETH being the first, and kind of go from there. So we've talked about, let's see, what do we got? Did I forget anything? Let's see. We talked about ES. Right? We talked about the plan, how Sunday worked out, which was phenomenal. We talked about how ridiculously hard it was to get on this long today because they refused to give us a pullback. We talked about perspective for what's coming over the next couple of days. And obviously, I'll get the trade plan out in the morning. We've talked about Bitcoin and we talked about ETH. Okay. Kind of some big deals here, guys. And here's what you have to remember. We're coming into holiday. Okay. Thanksgiving is on Thursday, I think. When I started the day this morning, relative volume was around positive 1%. When we finished the day today, even after this massive move up, we were a relative volume of negative 25%, which means we're starting to lose market participants as we get into the week a little bit more. People are going to start leaving to go on break. And so, you know, the other big thing you have to remember is when we have low volume, you never fade trend. Right? You get these low volume grind days, just grind it. And it may be the most boring ass day ever, but I'm telling you, if you fade it, it's going to be the most painful bleed you've had in a long time. Trust me, I know. I've done it more times than I care to actually acknowledge. And so from one professional to many others, please do not short low volume days. As you guys have noticed, this market is way easier to get long and walk away from the pullbacks or wait for the dust to simmer. So that is what we got. So, one more thing, and I might as well throw this out there. I keep meaning to put this in the trade plan for subscribers. I seem to only talk about it on this stream, which is whatever. It's good for you guys. And I know a lot of people who subscribe. Basically, everybody watches this. Get some pretty good views on these things, which is awesome. I appreciate all your guys' support. I really do. You guys are amazing. Believe it or not, I just made the top 100 in finance. Thank you so much. So can't wait. now my next goal is top 50, right? So with your help, we'll get there. Now let's talk about this other trade real quick. And we're off to a pretty good start on this. And I don't know if it's going to continue here, but, I talked about the weed stocks, right? So look, I put a tweet out and I said, hey guys, I'm buying MSOS, which is the weed stock ETF. I bought some at $3.24 or something like that. I actually bought some initially on the way up. Think about right here. This was the Trump announcement. I didn't want to buy anymore until it came down lower. And the main reason was because we were tapping this big ass monthly, right? And I know that a lot of this is news based. And just, if you guys don't know anything about these cannabis stocks, these companies don't make money. They do not make money. So like none of them. It's crazy to me. They all, weed's like, okay, that's the hot shit. Everybody wants to own a dispensary. Listen, I used to own 2 dispensaries in Denver. I was one of the first 5 dispensary owners in Denver. Dispensaries have a very difficult life. And, between regulation, taxes and everything. But what's interesting is a lot of the publicly traded, actually not a lot, all the publicly traded weed companies, they don't make money. It's insane. So for me, I can't, I have a hard time picking out of companies that don't make money. So it's much easier for me to buy the ETF. And this is the only one that I care about. And the price is right. It's like $3, right? So I'm looking at this thing and me and my boys are talking about it. I'm like, listen, at some point in time, they're going to bring the regulation down. They're going to reschedule this thing. Weed is like legal a lot of states. Just so happens there's a holdout in Indiana and a holdout with the federal government. But eventually this thing's going to catch fire. So I'm willing to hold this thing for 5 years. I don't give a shit. But, for down here, I got about $1,000 invested in this. I might even buy some more. But I guess what I'm telling you is this was a great spot to buy. I still think it is. Could it come lower? Absolutely. But for me, this has got, if it's $3, if it goes to 30, that's 10x. If it goes to $9, we're talking 300% return on your money, which would be phenomenal. So I think this is a great opportunity here. If you guys are investors and you're looking to do some long-term holds, this thing is already starting to show a little promise. It's funny because I got to tell you, I got so much shit about this post. If you look on my Twitter account and look at when I said I'm buying MSOS here, so many people chimed in and told me how stupid I was. You'd be better off shorting it here. That shit's going to go to 0. I love that. Bring it. I told them I'll buy all of it. If we weren't so low on time, I would see if I could find that post for you, but check it out. I told them, just give it to me. I'll keep buying. I don't care. Big Fish is here. I'm going to buy all this shit. Right. So I love that. I love the fact that people are so bearish at the bottom. Let's take it. Let's go. Come on. So with that being said, that gets me excited because when we're all the way down here and people call me stupid and tell me I should I'd be better off shorting it, I love that. Bring it. That's foolish talk. We only trade our system. You can see I bought this monthly, basically. We came into the weekly, which is fine. I don't care. This is a zone for me. And I think we're off to a really good start. So I may, in fact, even buy some more down here and kind of let you guys do your own thing. Obviously, only buy what you can afford to lose because I don't know how long this is going to take. This is not going to be a get-rich-quick scheme here. But I do think it has some long-term promise. So I wanted to share that with you guys. I might as well at this point have put it out there. Anybody who's a subscriber pretty much watches these. So I hope you enjoy. Again, please make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all that stuff. Please retweet and all that jazz. And let people know what we're doing here. We've got something good going on. We've got people making money. Lots of people are happy. I get tons of thank yous all the time. And so I really appreciate all your guys' support. Like I said, I moved up into the top 100. I posted it the other day. I'm number 96, but hey, maybe I'm 96 out of 97. I don't know, but as long as we're in the running, so I'm pretty excited. So thank you, everybody. Tell your friends, and you can still check out the link in this tweet. Giving away 30 days free if you haven't subscribed before. It's nothing but free money. Check it out. And so I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, same channel, right here at 5 p.m. Eastern. And tomorrow for my subscribers, I will send out the trade plan 8:30 in the morning and give you guys an outlook of what exactly we're doing in the overnight and what levels we should buy. So again, thank you. Much love. And I will see you guys soon. Indiana represent. Talk to you. Cheers.